Alright, what's up, guys? So, as of, like, less than 10 minutes ago or something, the patch just went live. So this will be the April patch coming in just before the end of the month. And, yeah, so here it is. It's 10:52 p.m. You can see down there. I was in the middle of a ranked queue. You know, the map pool is the same as last patch. And then it says game found and it's map as islands. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? And then my game crashed. Just like my webcam. God damn it. Everything's breaking right now. But no, we're not restarting this failed train has left the station. Alright, so we're gonna go through this together. Oh wait, there's some event. Greatest medieval technologies. Siege. Okay, this is just. I guess there are some new cheat codes. Oh, they added 256 tech mod as a cheat code. Larger projectiles. Oh my god. Okay, don't care about that. Fixed various crashes that could be triggered when spectating games. That's always great for me. That doesn't seem too big of a deal. And a new dynamic grid allows players to customize the shade and visual intensity of the grid. It shows up in-game as well as the circumstance. Oh, that's cool. That's a cool change. You can optimize your grid to your, I guess, preferences. Fixed an issue where organ guns would... Oh, I guess you could convert them without redemption sometimes? What about the bug where they use Britain voice lines? That was a weird one. Record games no longer break as soon as the player quits, drops, crashes. Oh, yay. Oh, yay. And more anti-cheat stuff is great. Oh, the chat filtration stuff is, I guess, being toned down, which is good to know. Achievements. Here we go, everybody. This is the meat and potatoes of the patch, as always. So, I knew about, I think, most of these changes. But yeah, let's go through them together, shall we? Okay, so the civilization bonuses, which provide additional villagers to the Chinese and Mayans, and a bonus llama to Incas, have been disabled for Empire Wars mode. This is just because Chinese and Mayans, like, they'd get the extra villagers, or villager, or the llama, but they wouldn't get the downside. Well, I mean, Incas don't have a downside, but the Chinese and Mayans wouldn't have their resource downside. Like, Chinese wouldn't start with minus 200 food and 50 wood, and Mayans would start with minus 50 food, so that was kind of broken. So they, I guess, are just undoing the bonuses entirely, which makes me think, what about the Hun house bonus? I don't actually know this. Do Huns start with, normal wood? I know they start with houses. I've seen houses for Huns in Empire Wars. It's pretty funny. Anyway, not too big a deal. Fishermen can now drop food they've collected at docks. Now, I don't know if this is all food or just fish. I would assume it's all food, because I don't think the game differentiates, food sources. So, this is kind of an interesting one. I think that the biggest impact you will see is, one, any maps where there's like a bunch of shallows where like villagers can walk and there's deep fish they can gather from. Now I guess you can use villagers as stand-in fishing ships. But I think the big one is going to be on Nomad. Oftentimes you'll have like two villagers close together and one on the other side of the map. So you have the one on the other side of the map build a dock. Then usually they're just like building houses, or you have them trek all the way across the map to your town center. Now you can just leave that one villager there and just, gather from some shorefish or something. So that's kind of it's an interesting change. I don't really know why it's a thing, but yeah, that's it's interesting. Fire Galley increased training time by 5 seconds. Fire Galleys are still a little too oppressive in early feudal age, so that is a nice little nerf. Any nerf to Fire Galley is just going to make Viking bucks, increase in value. So You can probably squeeze out Vikings in more situations. Like on islands, which we'll get to later. Keshegs now properly generate gold. Okay, that's fine. Bulgarians, this is an interesting one. Can no longer research and train paladins. The stirrups technology now affects all cavalry units, i.e. the Nightline. So you lose paladins, but you get super speed attacking cavaliers. Now, cavaliers already attack very fast. They have a base attack rate of 1.8, which is pretty fast. Like the standard unit is 2. Like, one attack every 2 in-game seconds. Oh my god, what is up with my webcam, man? Alright, my webcam is now broken. But that's probably for the best, so you don't have to see my ugly mug. So we'll just plow on. Like I said, this dumpster fire, it's already going. We're not stopping it. Anyway, this will give Bulgarians an interesting distinction where they will have very high DPS Cavalier, but they will lack that Paladin. What I think is kind of weird is that you have the super high DPS Cavalier, you have Konaks, which are just like a bunch of stats, but both of these are relatively weak to archers compared to other cavalry civs. So, interesting. I'm not too sure how this will play out, but normally you would just like never go for the Nightline at all as Bulgarians, just because you'd rather go for Konaks and you have Krepos to help produce them. So maybe we'll see Stirrup Cavalier now. Interesting to see how it plays out in team games too. Ethiopians' torsion engines increased the width of upgraded Scorpion projectiles from 0.3 to 0.5. Torsion engines barely affected Scorpions, and now their blast radius is going to be the same as trample damage, like all trample damage from elephants, or cataphracts with Logistica, or Slav infantry with Druzhina. So that's going to be pretty noticeable. Torsion engine Scorpions should be getting some nice pass-through damage. Goths now receive the Loom technology as a civilization bonus. Goths can now research Loom, guys! Just kidding, they get it for free. If this seems familiar, it's the old Aztec bonus. Aztecs now start with plus 50 gold instead of free Loom. Goths now just get free Loom. Oh, also, a point of clarification that was raised. You only get Loom once your town center is constructed. So you're not getting the situation on Nomad where like you just, villager war before the first town center is built and you just win because you have Loom. No potential for that. So you do need the town center. Anyway, this essentially allows you to click up to Feudal Age with 1 extra villager. You can click up on, say, 23 pop and still get up at the same time as 22 pop. Just as an example. Your Dark Age is going to be pretty smooth. You're not going to lose any villagers to boars unless you're really unfortunate. Or just to, stray villagers to an enemy scout or something. So that's going to be a nice little eco bonus. Is it going to be enough to make Goths very viable? I don't think they're going to be, insta-pick top tier, but I think we might be seeing Goths sort of pushed upwards, kind of like towards the middle, like when, say, Tatars got their buff, or when Saracens got their archer buff, that sort of thing. So I think they're going to be an okay civ that you might want to use in some situations, but there are still probably going to be better choices out there. Indians, as a civilization bonus, fishermen now work 10% faster rather than 15% faster and plus 15 food. From this, I assume they no longer carry extra food as well, because that was actually a big deal when it came to the shorefish. You're still going to always pick Indians on maps with a bunch of shorefish. Like the accursed slopes map, El Dorado, Bedouins. Well, the thing with El Dorado is that there was also Chinese were also broken on it, but you guys get the idea. It's like nerfing Mongol Hunt. Okay, maybe it's not as oppressive, but you're still going to pick them on all these wonky maps that have different food starts. Italians, fishing ships now correctly cost minus 15% wood instead of minus 15 wood. This was actually a bug. But this effectively raises the cost from 60 to 64 wood. Very slight nerf to Italians on water. If they were the best water civ, it was only by, like, 1% or so. So, yeah, this is a very, very, very minor nerf to Italians, I think is a good thing. Because Japanese, Malay, Vikings are all right there. And then civs like Byzantines, Portuguese, Koreans, and Berbers are all, like, just one step behind them. So just making everyone a little bit more in line. Khmer reduced the work rate of farmers by 3%. Hallelujah! The Khmer farm booming and stuff was way, way, way too good. So at least their farmers are going to be a little bit slower, kind of like how Mayans used to be. I mean, it's still going to be like really good farm bonus, but it's not going to be as oppressively strong. And you can no longer train bombard cannons. This is actually a big hit to them. A big part of early pushes in like Imperial Age were, reliant on bombard cannons if you didn't have like a castle or something. To protect your scorpions from onagers, bombard cannons were a big deal. You have redemption, but not block printing as Khmer, so it's not like you can safely use monks or anything like that. So these are two pretty big nerfs. What will this mean for Khmer in your normal games? They're fine. As far as 1v1s, they're not going to be like a super duper top tier. Again, we're sort of working civs to be like, all around the same level. Like, obviously, you'll always have civs that are better and worse in various situations, but you want at least most civs to be viable on most maps, at least in that C tier range or B tier, and not, D tier or whatever. Lithuanians, the latest, getting a lot of changes, adjusted the cost from 50 food 80 gold to 70 food 50 gold. So you flip the food and gold costs and then make them cost less food. Well, let's just go through all of this. Reduce the training time for both the non-elite and elite versions. This essentially just makes them easier to produce. I think that the latest has a little bit of an identity crisis where it's too similar to the Paladin, and because it's harder to produce than Paladins, why not just go for Paladins? They're a little bit better against melee units than our Paladins, but they are worse against ranged units due to missing 1 less Pierce armor compared to Paladins and 30 less HP. So there are situations where you did want to use latest before. For instance, like, I know in my personal experience on Arena, if you have like 2 or 3 castles but no stables, well then the latest suddenly become a much easier transition. Also, if you need them right away, getting the elite upgrade is fairly quick, whereas getting Cavalier takes a long time, then Paladin takes an even longer time and more resources. So they are situationally useful, but I guess now they'll be a little bit easier to train as well, but I still think they lack an identity. Tower Shields reduce the cost from 800 food to 500 food. That makes it now, I think, 500 food, 300 gold, if I recall correctly. Maybe 200. Regardless, the Pierce Armor is now +2. So that's going to bring you with Halberdiers with 2-4 armor. So you end up with 1 less melee armor compared to generic fully upgraded Halberdiers with Lithuanians, but you move 10% faster, and even 5% faster than Celts. So I'd say that's really good Halberdiers. And Skirmishers, you now are looking at 10 Pierce Armor Skirmishers, I believe? +2, so that's, 4 + 6, 10 Pierce Armor. Yeah. Heavy Cav Archers are dealing 1 damage to these guys. Mangudai are dealing 2 damage. They're really good. They're going to be more tanky, but less damage than Imperial Skirmishers. They have 1 more Pierce Armor, but less HP and attack compared to Imperial Skirmishers. Tower Shields was a very poorly designed tech, in my opinion, where it was like, okay, it gave you like not quite as good imp skirms, and then spearmen that were fast but didn't have as good armor as if they just had plate mail, because Lithuanians don't have plate mail. So now I think this makes it a much stronger tech. It's much more affordable, and Lithuanian trash is really going to be something to be feared. Malay harbors, it was just a bug before. Now harbors will work as intended, so you get all your upgrades just fine. Here's the big one, guys. Making me cry. Remove the bonus to the work speed of town centers and docks in Dark Age. Now it's just like back in Age of Conquerors. 10, 15, 20. No Dark Age bonus. I was always one that advocated for the 5% faster in Dark Age, but in the world where they also got trash bows, it was way too much. The Persians were way too good on any sort of hybrid map, and then they were like also good on most other maps. Now, are they going to pass into obscurity? They're going to be better than they were in AOC, but they were pretty underwhelming in a lot of situations. They're still going to be an excellent team game pocket civ, but they're no longer going to be tippy top tier. And they're going to be a solid pick on aggressive water maps, maybe like 50-50 them and Mongols, or I don't know, maybe just go Italians or something. It's a big nerf, that's for sure. But Persians were the most picked civ in the last ranked pool month, which, yeah, I think that is not good balance-wise. They had like a 12 to 14% pick rate at 1600 plus on DE, which is like insane. Like, I think it was almost double the second highest civ. Yeah, like a part of that was there were so many hybrid maps, but yeah, very much needed. Slavs, Boyar reduced the speed from 1.4 to 1.3 and increased the pierce armor by 1. So Boyars went from being a little bit faster than knights to being a little bit slower. But, you know, to compensate, now you have +1 pierce armor, so they'll have 4 melee armor, 2 pierce armor in Castle Age, and 6 melee armor and 3 pierce armor in Imperial Age. Boyars are good, man. These guys are now, like, legit stand-ins for paladins. They're going to be a little bit slower, and they are going to be a little bit worse compared to against ranged units because they have less HP than paladins. But, I mean, Slavs don't have paladins, right? So it's not really a fair comparison. Like, compared to Cavalier, like, Boyars are now way better. And you're going to get a real tanky, scary unit to deal with, man. You still use halberdiers. Camels aren't quite as good, but they're still going to be cost efficient. But, I mean, the Boyar is just going to be one good cavalry unit that's going to be... It's a slow to get to unit. It's a late game unit, but Slavs, they have the eco to get there. So now I would say Boyars are viable, and especially look a lot more attractive in team game scenarios, as you're going to absolutely wreck other heavy cavalry or swordsmen or stuff like that. Tatars, the critical change. Flaming Camels now benefit from the Indian team bonus of +5 attack versus buildings. Now you'll go from, 25 damage to 30 damage. So OP, man. It's pretty irrelevant. Here's another one that you guys are going to find interesting. As a civilization bonus, barracks and stable units now receive +1 melee armor. Wait, what? Whoa, hold on. I didn't even realize it was going to be this good. So now we're getting +2 melee armor for barracks units and 2 melee armor for stable units. That's going to be pretty good. Like, this really fits the Teuton identity of slow and heavily armored. But if you think that's going to make Teutonic Knights even less relevant, well, Teutonic Knights are getting a speed boost. So they will now have the same base movement speed as villagers without wheelbarrow. And then with squires, it will bring them up to the same movement speed as villagers with wheelbarrow. So they're still going to be slow. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the unit. It's very strong but slow. But it's not going to be, can't catch up to anything ever, can never take engagements. Teutons are going to be really good on closed maps, guys, and I think they'll probably be a little bit more viable on open maps. I mean, you still kind of have a weakness in that you don't have very good ranged units and you're kind of slow, but they're amping up the armored aspect here. And they're definitely going to be an interesting team game civ now, because you do have 7 melee armor in total with your paladins. That's pretty crazy. You have 5 melee armor on your halberdiers. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Teutons are going to perform now. Top tier arena civ, like 100%. Like arena, Black Forest, these guys are going to be really good. But I'm interested to see how that will play on other maps. Starting villagers and herdable animals will no longer spawn on the same tile. Oh, I guess I should just say real quick, I don't want this video to drag on too long, but overall I think the balance changes are really interesting, and I like most of them. I think they mostly at least move in the right direction. So this is going to be interesting. Reduce the number of wolves. Ornlu a cry. Nah, it's no big deal. Distant cows and buffalo no longer appear in a single group. They're now split. Interesting. 2 groups comprised of 2 and 1. Interesting. I guess that's just so you don't get totally screwed if you're lamed or you're more likely to run into your cows or something. That's fine. Revised elevation, so I guess that this is all good. I assume this is all good. Acropolis, is that one still in the map pool? No, it's not. So we're not going to worry about it. Alpine Lakes isn't, Bogland isn't, Golden Swamp is, so now you get 4 forage bushes, so you get a little bit more food. And there are less fish overall, so water is less important. And that's not a big deal. Hideout isn't in the map pool anymore. Hill Fort is. So now player starting locations are consistent. You get huntable animals within the walls, that's nice. And bases are now surrounded by fortified palisade walls. In case you're wondering what the heck these things are, they're in the scenario editor. They don't... You can't make them normally, and then you can't rebuild them. They're just palisade walls with more HP. Who would have thought? Just makes it a little bit more defendable. Medi isn't in the map pool. These maps aren't either. Serengeti. So forests are scaling properly. That's good. 2 to 3 gold clusters. Okay, this can make trushing, tower rushing less strong, which is great. And then, of course, the less tiles per group. Less quicksand, so you can build in more places. And I don't know about the numbers here, but you get 8 huntables in total, which sounds right. No lakes in your base, and generally reduced elevation, which is nice because it was way too hilly. This is map scripting stuff, which is nice, but whatever. Alright, so team together. Team positions will now randomly choose whether each... This is done regardless of... I have no idea what this means. Will now randomly choose whether the team is placed in a... Yeah, I have no idea. Players now notified when a match is found if they're looking in the tech tree. That's nice. Increase the spectator delay for ranked games to 2 minutes. This is definitely good because there was a lot of spec cheating going on. Sorry, there were accusations of spec cheating going on. But yeah, that's good. Hopefully lobby stuff can help a bit. And there are some other team game. Like, you should be getting more balanced team games, which is really nice. Map pool. Arabia, Arena, Four Lakes, Golden Swamps, all still the same. Islands is going to be your new water map. So, yeah, pure water map again. And I like islands. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it's definitely more defensively oriented as far as water maps go. So you're definitely going to want to be going with your your Italians, your Vikings. Honestly, Vikings were going to be more and more appealing. Just watch out for landings. Just going fast castle longboats. Hill Fort's going to be a new one. It's kind of your replacement for hideout. You start on top of a fort on top of a hill. Who would have thought? Fast castle here is going to be really strong. You can go for tower rushes, but that's going to be a little bit more difficult due to the fortified palisade walls, and you're going uphill. So I like fast castle unique unit civs here, like your Mayans, your Spanish, that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. And then Serengeti instead of Acropolis, both you're going to have really aggressive Arabia variants. That's all fine. I don't remember about the team map pool because I barely played team games, but now we have Oasis and Scandinavia. Pathfinding should no longer stutter step. That is huge. That was really annoying. Uh, Lumberjack pathing, great. That's weird. Oh, this is interesting. Units and technologies that are not yet available to research are now displayed with a darkened icon. So normally you would just have nothing here. But now you can see that two-handed swordsman and halberdier are there, just grayed out. Kind of interesting. This is just a bunch... Oh, this is so nice. Players are ordered by teams and by their player name. Oh, man. I'm so glad. It was so hard to keep track of everything. Yeah, that exactly what it says here. Scores are constantly changing. It's very confusing. Some modding stuff. Ongoing investigations about disconnects, latency, localization translation, and performance. And wow, that's it, guys. Pretty huge patch. Right before Red Bull. Interesting, but I'm really excited to jump into this. I think that most of these changes are really good. Definitely you can get excited for the event if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, this is interesting. Interesting time, guys. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Do leave a like, I guess, if you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next one.